Welcome to SFG Top Performance. Today we have our regulars Jason and Derrick. Today we're going to talk about Derrick.
So this week, last couple weeks, been working on finalizing seed orders is the biggest thing. It's kind of that time of year where a lot of the seed orders are in, and we finally had some time to sit down, really finalize acres, start to figure out what hybrids we're going to put on the fields, but really just finalizing those packages. I've been making some final tweaks on orders. We're ended up with these acres, didn't get this farm rented, that sort of thing, and need 15, 20 more bags, that sort of thing. Just that first initial planning before we get into what I call the winter planning of seed, the seed selling world. So kind of what we're going to be looking at next is true placement on the fields. I like to take just about every seed package I have and then go per field with those packages and place the best seed on the right acre is what I like to do there. We really see a huge difference if we put the wrong hybrid on the wrong acre. There's years that it's 50 bushel, that it's just a bad. So we spend a lot of time doing that and actually come out with plans, and we keep it as logistical as possible so you're not switching hybrids. If your field's right next to each other, you can't be switching hybrids too far, switching maturities too far away. But we really stress the importance of putting the right seed on the right acre. The other thing with the seed planning is variable rate technology. We've done quite a bit of variable rate seed, and on corn we see really huge benefits from it. We have a lot of fields around with a lot of variability, and there's areas of our field that are going to do 240 plus bushel, and there's areas that are going to do 150 bushel. So we really don't like to treat the 150 bushel areas the same as the 240 bushel areas, and seed is probably one of the most important along with fertilizer in those areas. So I like to push the population in those 240 bushel areas. There's places around that in our area that are doing 36 to 38,000, and there is a little bit of 40,000 around the area. That's the absolute high side, and it's pretty high for me. Usually the top end is 38,000 is what I like on the best field, and that's when if you're gonna put extra nitrogen in there and push it. But we have a lot of information that you can get higher yield if you do that. And the easiest way to increase yield is to put more plants per acre. That's more ears, it's more kernels. That's the easiest way, but you got to make sure you feed that crop. You don't want to put 38,000 out there and with 150 pounds of fall anhydrous, and that's it. So it's just a different management strategy, but it's something that is really beneficial if you have that capability. Even I talk to guys a lot that even don't have the variable rate on the go. Sometimes we just on your flat fields, we just need to bump that up 2,500 plants. And I know it's more jockeying around. You got to get out and change the planter, but getting out, if you're not doing that every day, changing the planter, we can get 10, 15, 20 more bushel in those good areas. So it's worth switching those sprockets, and it's worth to go after that better yield.
You're talking about corn here, and I've had several conversations about this variable rate planning with customers. Will you talk a little bit about the soybeans, and I know there's a difference in the way you approach them. Will you talk a little bit about the differences between corn and soybeans and how you approach the variable rate?
Sure. So soybean variable rate is the exact opposite of corn. We know soybeans are a pretty resilient crop, and we know that if you have an even stand across the field, we don't need as high a population of soybeans as we plant. I mean, the replant considerations for soybeans says that 75,000 plants an acre. If it's even across the field, don't replant. You're okay. Which that's half of what we plant. Usually we've been in 150, 160,000 plants per acre. So to think that we can get away with 75,000 in a replant situation is just really hard to get our heads wrapped around. But there's a lot of data behind that. So when we think about planting soybeans, we know there's parts of the field that are the good parts of the field that we don't have those stresses. We don't have those issues. We don't have beans that aren't going to come up, especially if we get into pattern tiled fields, that sort of thing. They're not as wet. they're not going to sit in wet feet. Those beans are going to come up better, more even, quicker. So in those good areas, we actually lower the population of soybeans. And then in the tough areas, right now, I'm still, the science behind it is you raise the population in the tough areas, because then in those tough areas, it's only going to produce a certain size of bean. So you need to put more beans out there to, if it's only going to grow to a foot, only going to put on 50, these are just even numbers. If it's only going to put on or get 50 beans from it, you just need more plants out there. We've seen a lot. I mean, we've proved the lower end population in the high area is really good. I haven't seen a lot of data come across that if you put 170,000 in the tough area that we're seeing a yield lift. But so really what we're doing a lot of the times is we're lowering the population in the good areas. And every time you lower 10,000 population, you save about $3.50 an acre. So if you lower 20,000, I mean, you can save $6 or $7 an acre, and we're seeing the same yield. So I do a lot of variable rate in the good areas, 120,000, and then up to 140 and 50 in the tough areas. So I like 10 to 20,000 plant breaks, because we're splitting hairs if you only do 5,000 or something like that. And the only pushback or the only thing to consider, I guess, is just weed control is another big thing. You just need to keep an eye on it. You might want to pick a different soybean variety, a bushier bean, if you're really lowering the population. But really, we've had good luck in the good areas fields at 120,000, and so as long as you have a good even stand, the planter's good. You're not dropping. It's not like we're using drills anymore. That's just kind of randomly dropping beans. So as long as the planters are good and dropping pretty even, I'm very comfortable with 120,000 on the good fields, Jason.
Thank you.
But what else is going on in your world, Jason, for getting ready for spring?
Well, we learned this morning that it's 80 days until spring. I guess that was kind of an interesting and a shocking fact to me, because I think it's still the middle of winter, but that kind of brought me to my attention that, it's time to do our planning. We've talked a lot about making sure we have the right fertilizer, making sure we have the right chemicals, but now it's time to put that to an agronomy plan and making sure you're ready for spring, making sure you've talked to your agronomist, and make sure that you have your talks done, and we can put together the fertilizer plan, the chemical plan, and your plant health, and make sure that you're prepared. And if you haven't already, it's definitely time for your financing and make sure that's taken care of, and we can put these agronomy plans together, and we can give you today's prices and what things are today on this agronomy plan. So, there's a lot of valuable information that we do with that. You tell us your acres, so we're prepared for spring. That way Charles can have the product ready, and we can have the products we need, and we can be prepared, and you can be prepared. So you don't have to wait till, I want this spread today. Well, we can have it done and be ready, and we can plan accordingly. So, that 80 days till spring, that's kind of a shocking number. We think about it, we'll get all the work done. We had a very good fall, but, we have a lot of work to do in the next 80 days, if that's that's all the weather dependent, but that's the more it snows, the less days we have to get that work done as well. So, we need to be prepared and get as much of this stuff done as we can now, and talk to your agronomist if you haven't already about making sure your fertilizer's right, getting the best value and your best bang for your buck out of that fertilizer, your chemical programs, and your plant health. We haven't talked much about fungicides, but plant health hasn't this year. We've talked about a lot in the past, but plant health hasn't gone away. We're still needing to do that. Derrick, I know you have a disease you want to talk a little bit about that leads right into that. So
Yeah, so one disease to look at this year, it's over the last couple years, it's becoming more popular, for lack of a better term, or it's more abundant, you could say. It's here to stay, and we're going to see it. And I'm sure people have heard about it before. It's tar spot is what it is. Kind of the newest disease that people are starting to talk about. And Iowa State does their, I call them crop tours, where or they're called trespassing tours, but they go in and randomly in the state and every county, and they go look for diseases and see if there's tar spot, especially this new one. And it's been found over the last 2 years all over Iowa. So it's here to stay. It's just like other diseases that overwinter on the residue. So in our no-till situation, it's going to be around. I haven't seen very much of it around. We haven't seen any disasters, but it's out there. One easy telltale of it, it's essentially these little black little black specks on the plant that look like a tar spot. They're really dark black. They're not quite circular, a little bit elongated. But another true telltale over something like rust or something is if you flip it over, you can actually see it. It works its way all the way through the leaf, so you can see it on the bottom of the plant as well. And you'll feel a little, you'll feel a bump on the plant, for lack of a better term, and that is that's the fungus. Before it releases the spores, that's the fungus colonizing on the plant, and then it's had, I guess, inconsistent results with yield. You could say, there's the big bad infestations that are, the 30, 40, 50 bushel type thing. And then there's just, it's out there. It's just like any other disease where it hasn't been too bad. But it's one that it spreads really rapidly. In 2 years, it started it farther to our east, Indiana, Illinois, that sort of thing. And it spread over the last couple of years, and it moves through the wind as well. So it likes warm, cool weather. Or warm, wet weather, and it's just one that we're gonna have to keep track of. So it's one that's on my radar, more, and one we're gonna have to keep looking at for 2022.
And I know we learned a little bit about fungicides in this a week ago. Can you, Derrick, talk a little bit about the fungicides and how, when you apply that fungicide, is for it to work? Can you wait till after you see it, or how do we do this with tar spot?
So with tar spot, so far, it's like the other diseases where once you see it, it's too late. Especially with it produces so quick, and once you see it, 2 days later it's over the whole plant. It moves quicker than some of the others, but really it's preventative fungicide applications is what you need to do. And even Iowa State says the fungicides, the mode of actions are all working on it right now, so it's not resistant to everything that we have today. But you want to make sure you're using two modes of action fungicide minimum. There's a lot of new ones out there that have 3 that are even the best of the best. So you just want to make sure you're using those, not using the old ones. If you're using just a strobilurin fungicide, we don't want what's happened to frog eye leaf spot in soybeans, that we get some resistance built up. As long as you're using 2 mode of actions, we should be pretty protected with this tar spot.
Yep, and it's something that once you see it, we're probably too late. So we need to be on top of it, and we need to look at preventatives where we have sometimes scouted in the past. So, Charles, what about how's operations world going today? How can you?
It's a little muddy today, but in the last week or so, we've got quite a bit done actually, because the fields a lot of the snow's left, and got back out there, and looks like we're still going right now, but looks like the weather's gonna change for us, and maybe we'll get lucky and miss this snow, and we can keep going. But everything, we're pretty darn good shape compared to where we were a year ago. I mean, fertilizer wise, we're way ahead of where we were a year ago, but weather's looking good, so we still got quite a bit to do. Been keeping everything running, I guess. Work wise, we've been sourcing chemicals, getting chemicals in here. Like I said, fungicides, we got 2 different carriers we're having this time for fungicide. So last year everything was short in that department. This year we kind of doubled up, if you want to say. So we don't want to tell anybody no. We want to have both the good products out there versus saying, well, I think I can find something. Well, that's been the challenge all fall or all winter here, is trying to source enough products to get everybody going. We're in pretty good shape today. Just like you said, we got to make sure everybody's getting a good plan of what they plan on spraying, not wait till the last minute, because some of those products, they might not be there. And it's just like seed. If you don't start out early, you're gonna, whatever's left over. Well, hopefully this isn't that way in the chemical side, but we're getting there. So we get through it. So we'll see how she goes and try to keep it going. Other work wise, there isn't a whole lot moving in the agronomy side outside of you guys are out getting everybody going. You got anything else to add there? Yep, we're in pretty good shape.
Middle of our winter doldrums, and it's
Well, let's just hope those days get closer to spring, and maybe we'll get lucky and miss this next snow. Don't look too promising. So I want to thank you all for joining us this time. We'll look for you again in 2 weeks. Thank you.